The NFL heads to Germany in Week 10 for a battle between the Giants and the Panthers. But first, I want to talk to you about a special we have going at Wager Talk. This week, we've extended the coupon code FBALL50. That gets you $50 off any full season NFL or college football package. The handicapper of your choice, coupon code FBALL50. Good this week at Wager Talk. All right. Standalone videos for me have been awesome. Another 3-0 sweep. I now have 6 straight free pick YouTube video winners, and they've got me on 5 of them this week. So hopefully we can replicate the success of the last 2 weeks. I wish some of this carried over to my NFL plays. College football has been great. NFL hasn't been as good, but the free pick videos continue to win. So do what you will with that. This will not make my client card, but the way I'm looking in this matchup between the Giants and the Panthers is toward the Giants. So again, as I mentioned, this is the international game this week. This one will be played at Allianz Arena in Germany. And the Panthers had their upset win last week. They knocked off the Saints. They had previously lost 5 straight games by double digits, looked like a completely incompetent mess, and then somehow came out last week with Bryce Young at quarterback and beat the Saints. What that probably means is Bryce Young is likely to be the quarterback again here, which I don't think is a great thing for the Panthers because it looks like Andy Dalton is, back and healthy and able to play. And if it's Bryce Young, which again, I don't see any scenario where Bryce Young wins a football game and isn't named the starting quarterback the following week. If it's Bryce Young, I think the Panthers probably revert back to their ways of losing games by double digits. Now, I might change my tune a little bit if Andy Dalton's the quarterback because, and I've said this going back probably 2 years now, since the Panthers had Dalton and Young, on the same roster, that Andy Dalton is the better quarterback. I still believe he's the better option at starting quarterback. He's a far more accurate passer, and I wouldn't want to go against Dalton here. So take that with a grain of salt. For the sake of this video, I am giving out the Giants as the pick. But that is because I truly believe that regardless, despite what Dave Canales says, there is no, QB competition this week, that it's 100% going to be Bryce Young because, of course, how could you possibly bench Young after he won a game? I mean, you're trying to get any sort of return on investment as possible out of like a former number 1 pick that's been dreadful throughout his career. He goes out and gets a win. There's just no way they're going to bench him the following week. Now, the Panthers, I don't think, them moving the ball here is out of the question. Chuba Hubbard has really been a big-time bright spot for this Panthers offense, and the Giants have been awful against the run. Cost me a best bet on, Monday night. No, not this past Monday night, but 2 Monday nights ago, where the Giants just could not stop the run whatsoever against the Steelers. If you go back to the previous week, 2 long touchdown runs in that game against the Bengals. Joe Burrow broke one off for like 60 yards. And then, of course, Chase Brown sealed the game with a 30-plus yard touchdown run. And then last week, they don't even have to go up against Brian Robinson. And the Commanders still pretty much do whatever they want. 360 yards of total offense. Very balanced run and pass. The Giants' defense has been just in rough shape, which is a little bit surprising to me because I did think that was a defense that was making strides. If you go back to week 3, we bet on the Giants in a game that they played at Cleveland. They won the game as an underdog. I thought their defense played well, but they've regressed and they just don't defend the run particularly well. Now, the reason the Panthers have been just taking it on the chin with double-digit loss after double-digit loss prior to their upset win over the Saints is they just can't stop anything. The Panthers' defense is awful. They have 0 pass rush whatsoever. They don't get any pressure on the opposing quarterback. And I know it's rare for Daniel Jones to not be pressured, but if he's unpressured, he's pretty good. And I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Daniel Jones have a decent game here because I think he's going to stay upright. I've been watching this guy play for the Giants for years at this point. if you can't get pressure on Jones, he's respectable. It's probably the reason that he continues to get chance after chance after chance to be the Giants starting quarterback despite poor play. I don't think the Panthers can pressure him a ton, and I think he probably has a great game here. Now, I do think the Giants, being where they are at this point in the season, 2-7, I do think you have to look at what they've played. It's been a tough schedule. Vikings, Commanders twice, a slew of primetime games, Cowboys, Bengals, Steelers, all in primetime. The Eagles, that's a tough schedule. And then it doesn't even, the 2 games they won weren't necessarily easy games by any means. You had to go on the road to the Browns. The Giants were a 7-point underdog in that game. To go on the road all the way out to Seattle in kind of a bad spot without multiple offensive players. I believe that was the game after the Thursday night game against the Cowboys where Neighbors had to sit. And then they were without 2 or 3 offensive starters, found a way to win that game as a 7-point underdog. So it hasn't really been the Giants really haven't had an easy game yet. I mean, this is by far the easiest game that they've played to this point in the season. And, you look at the upcoming weeks, it's a lot of home games, 1 p.m., kickoffs at MetLife Stadium. I don't hate the outlook going forward from the Giants, for the Giants, the next 9 games. I think they got the really tough part of their schedule out of the way in the first 9 games. So from a preparation standpoint and a where's your head at standpoint, I think the Giants may have some optimism going into this game, seeing themselves as a 6-point favorite, feeling like, okay, now we finally have a matchup where we are the superior team, where we should win. And I think they do win. And I think the Giants potentially win going away here. I actually have them as a substantially superior team to the Panthers. I would have loved a number more like 4, 3.5. Didn't think I was going to get that, but it's possible sometimes on these neutral, I was going to say London games. This one's in Germany, but we've seen these neutral site international kickoffs, have weight less for, the quote unquote favorite. But that's not going to be the case here. This one is Giants, 5.5, 6 at this point. So not a ton of line value, but my handicap here is heavily weighted toward the Giants, especially if Bryce Young plays. So we'll call it Giants -5.5. I don't think it's going to matter. I've got this one by a touchdown or more for the G-men. And again, I think if it's Bryce Young under center for certain, it's a far better bet than it would be if it was up against Andy Dalton. So Giants -5.5. Please head over to the Wager Talk YouTube channel, like and subscribe so we can continue to bring you these free pick videos. And follow me on all platforms, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at AdamTriggerWT, doing different things across all 3 platforms. So give me a follow across the board, a bunch of free betting content as the season goes on. Hope you guys cash all of your tickets, NFL Week 10. We'll see you guys next time.